This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back here on VSiN, the sports betting network, kicking off hour 2 of Money Moves. Stormy Buonantony with you live in downtown Las Vegas, just outside of the world's largest sports book here at Circa Resort and Casino. I'm in my fishbowl. Meanwhile, our girl Grace Remington out there in the music city of Nashville. Well, that's what it is. You've been in here before.
I was not expecting that.
I guess it's not a fishbowl. It's like a fish square tank.
It's the glass case of emotion.
Yes. Milk was a bad choice. But what was not a bad choice is all the MLB we got coming up. We got 2 games that are about to get underway. We also, coming up in about 30 minutes, we'll have Jeremy Plonk of First Bet help us break down some of this weekend's preparatory races ahead of the Kentucky Derby coming up next month. One of those races, by the way, has been postponed from Saturday to Tuesday, so we'll get the lowdown on all of that. Best bets at the end of the hour. We're also cooking up some parlays for the people at home. But let's start with these games that are about to kick off, starting with Red Sox, Orioles here, Grace. Series split as we enter game 3. O's took game 1, 8-5. The Red Sox had a shutout 3-0 win yesterday with Crochet on the hill. Tanner Houck versus Charlie Morton today. 2 pitchers that got drilled in their season openers. Orioles around like a -122 favorite, at least on DraftKings right now, against Boston. What are you looking at here?
So I think we lost the edge on the Baltimore money line. I would have bet them at -105 last night. Right now it's -125 across the board. And I think they should have been priced at -120. Looks like you can still get that at Bally. But I think so a different way I would take this now, because I do lean the over as well. You could go Baltimore first 7 team total over 3.5 runs. And when you're doing home team totals, never take the full game team total, because if they're leading in the 9th inning, you're going to miss an entire half inning to cash that bet. So you want a full complement of outs. That's why we're taking the first 7 here. And you can find that on DraftKings under the first X innings tab, and then scroll down to first 7 innings. But really great hitting weather today. We're staying in Baltimore, but the day-to-day change in temperature is jumping from 54 to 75 at first pitch. It's going to get hotter throughout the game, 80 degrees, and the humidity day over day jumping from 59 to 69%. We also have winds on top of that out to center field, 14-mile-an-hour winds. So limited movement on those pitches, and then once the ball is in the air, it's going to travel further. But the 2 pitchers here coming off some rough outings to start the season. Tanner Houck went 5 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, 3 walks and 2 strikeouts. Charlie Morton only went 3 1/3 innings, and he gave up 4 runs. All of those were earned on 7 hits, 1 walk, and only 3 strikeouts. So not sure I want to believe in those guys right now. Baltimore picking up where it left off last year. It is a top 5 offense. Still waiting for Boston to kind of get to where they were last year. But either way, the weather boost is enough for me to bet some type of over in this game.
Yeah, and that's what I bet. I bet the game over 9 last night. I think even at 9.5, it's okay. You just don't have the safety of the push anymore. But I feel like the bats are going to be going, as you mentioned, the weather blowing out at center field, and the way that these pitchers have performed, I feel like everything kind of sets up for us to get some runs scored in this one. So that's the way I went. How about Rockies, Phillies? Taijuan Walker on the hill for Philadelphia. They're a -225 money line favorite. Total in this one, high total, sitting 10. Okay, you give me the Okay, let's talk through it. What do you like here?
No surprise that this total is so high, because with the pitchers here, Antonio Senzatella, totally said that right. He has started 5 games in the last 2 seasons. Doesn't have a high strikeout upside. And he is one of those pitchers. This makes no sense. Back when he was playing full seasons before injuries, he was worse in road games than home games. And that should not be the case for Rockies pitchers. They should want to pitch on the road. So I don't know what the deal is with him. The changeup seems to be his only good pitch, but he never throws it, likely because he does not have a good fastball. But then Taijuan Walker pitched himself out of the starting rotation last season. The only reason he's here is because the Phillies have dealt with some injuries, so they had to call him up. He also just does not have a good fastball. The velo is 91 on the sinker, 91.5 on the four-seamer. High schoolers are throwing faster than that in 2025. He's age 38, so it's just not great for him. And then again, we're getting this massive weather boost. The temperature jumping from 49 to 70 degrees day over day. The humidity jumping from 63 to 82%. We're playing in the middle of the day, so it's going to get hotter as the game goes on, and 16-mile-an-hour winds out to right center field. So great hitting weather. I wouldn't play the over at this point. Last night, the over 9.5 was even odds. Now it's minus 120 or 10. I ended up playing Phillies first 7-team total over 4.5 at even odds because I like the Phillies in this game and I like the over. So I'm just kind of isolating them in that way.
Yeah. I think that pairs well together, especially when you've got a favorite as large as Philadelphia is here, finding another way to attack them, particularly early. And you look at the way that their schedule has gone so far, last 3 games. Even against the Rockies, the last 2, 5-1 wins, 6-1 win against the Rays, 6-4 losses, for the Rockies. So I feel like the opposition finds a way to get the bats going against Colorado. So might as well go there. I know next segment, we're going to be cooking up some parlays. So I'm going to save your Astros Twins for that. One thing I did want to bring up with you as we shift gears here a little bit, we know the Final Four is coming up this weekend. We got some announcements yesterday that the finalists for the Wooden Award have come out, the top 5 players in the country. And largely this has been a 2-horse race, although we closed seeing Duke's Cooper Flag is around minus 200, maybe a little bit more. And obviously at times we saw that number be even higher. I think I saw as far out as maybe $4 or $5 at one point on Flag, but it was very back and forth with Janai Broom. And as I've just been going through some of the different publications that have come out with people that vote on these different things, a couple organizations have named Cooper Flag as their player of the year. And then I saw Sporting News also came out the other day, but they announced that Janai Broom was their national player of the year. Numbers obviously very similar. Flag has the story backing him, no question. He, doesn't need to play his senior year of high school. He comes out to Duke early. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. He's dominant, although playing in a conference that we know has had a pretty historically bad season compared to Janai Broom, who's the best player in a historically great conference in the SEC. So I know it's going to be splitting hairs, but I wonder if maybe this voting race could be closer than we think. I don't know. I think that Cooper Flag is going to win it. I feel pretty confident and firm in that just from a storyline perspective. But could Broom be alive for some people that vote on this maybe?
If it's a storyline award, oh gosh, I don't know, because I think they both have great stories. Cooper Flag, obviously a generational talent, and he's so flashy and people love watching highlight reels. Janai Broom doesn't look quite the same on tape, but that's because he has a different role. But he still has a great story too, coming from, was it a D3 school at one point, and now he's in his 5th year in the Player of the Award race, taking Auburn to a Final Four. I mean, he has a great story as well. When you look at their stats, they're pretty similar, both averaging just over 18 points a game. Janai Broom had more rebounds, 10.9 a game to Cooper Flag, 7.5. Cooper Flag has more assists, 4.2 to 2.9 for Broom, which, kind of makes sense. Flag is more of the playmaker. But it's kind of a bummer too, that only the first 2, I think votes were due after the first 2 rounds of the tournament. They may have included the 3rd round, but honestly, at this point, I don't know how many of those voters were paying attention, but I would say Broom has had the better tournament. He's had 2 double-doubles in his last 2 games. Well, actually 3 double-doubles in this tournament, but he's scored more. I don't know. I think the reason why I played him at plus 450, I think it was, is just because we knew all season long that this was going to be a wire to wire race. So whoever had the longer odds was going to be the better value play. So I can't really be upset if Cooper Flag wins. It was just kind of it was just a play on the market, but I don't know. Hopefully for us, it goes our way.
And it is interesting because, to your point, like the Wooden Award is one of those awards that does take into account postseason play, whereas, other player of the year things are specifically supposed to be for the regular season. So we'll see what gets taken into account here or not, and what voters want to do. I feel like it's Cooper Flags. I thought there were times where you could get value plays and good, at least decent plus money on either guy. So I feel like we talked about that a good bit throughout the course of the season. We'll see how it shakes out. I think it's Flag, but I think that there is a true and genuine and good argument for Janai Broome, who... Do you agree with what Justin Perry said earlier, and you're of the belief that we're going to see Janai Broome be fine out there? Bruce Pearl has come out and said they're taking the standpoint of just resting him all week long, get him ready to go after the injuries against Michigan State. He did come back in that game, Grace, and he hit that dagger shot, but he also was rebounding with one hand. So I'm curious of what version of Broome we're going to get come Saturday.
It's all, fair to bring up. He has to go. Like, there's no other option. And I actually thought it was interesting that Justin Perry said he would be worth more than one possession to the spread. I'm looking at Evan Maya's player ratings here. Duke's top 8 players their 8th best man is better than everyone else's in the country. Auburn's depth kind of rates similarly to all the other teams. So even if Duke were to lose Cooper Flag, it's much less significant than if Auburn were to lose Janai Broome. So that, I guess we'll learn a lot just by watching the movement this week, but sounds like he'll go.
Yeah, Duke, lots of depth. I feel like Janai Broome is going to play. I'm not questioning that. I'm just questioning more so the level of play that we're going to get here. We'll be right back on Money Moves.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Are you ready to take your sports betting to the next level? Well, sharpplays.com could be your secret weapon. Since 2011, they've been building trusted relationships with major sports books and sports insiders worldwide, giving daily updates on what top professional sports bettors and betting groups are wagering on. You're always ahead of the game. Plus, they've just launched a cutting-edge AI betting analyst that gives even more selections and reports, giving you the edge you need to win. Best part, you can check out Sharp Plays free content anytime, get real-time betting action reports, alerts, and more through email and X directly from the pros. Plus, explore all their records, including detailed online logs, right on the website at sharpplays.com. Head over today, get access to the best insights at sharpplays.com. Alongside Grace Remington, Stormy Buonantony with you, and from Sharp Plays to cooking up some plays, parlays, that is. Chef Grace Remington and Stormy Buonantony with you here. Listen, everybody loves in the current age of betting to find a way to put together a parlay that you can bet a little to win a lot and have a little bit of fun. And although we know, and we'll do the responsible gaming here, reminder, this is not a long-term strategy of winning. We're putting these together for fun, for a little profit potential, that type of thing. This is not the day in, day out way that you bet and try to becoming a winning sports bettor. It's not that. But ideally, what Grace and I will do here is we're cooking up parlays that we like coming into today's action. You can see if there is a layer of these bets that you like, or if you want to put them all together, go for it. If you want to take a little bit of Grace's and a little bit of mine's and see if you can put some stuff together, that's what this is all about. So, Grace, let's get some of the ingredients for the parlay you're cooking up. What's one leg that you're going to put in?
Okay, first of all, I think we need to refer to each other as Yes Chef during this segment now and into the future. Yes, Yes Chef. Okay, so no surprise, I'm making plays based on the weather today in baseball, and the two favorites I liked are already in action now. So we'll go to the later games, and we'll start with the Stros and Twins. My favorite play of the day, actually, is the under 7 at even odds today. That's what I played last night. But we're going to take the alt total under 9 for our first leg. And this is why. A lot of people don't know, but there are key numbers in baseball. 9 is the most, or actually 7 is the most common outcome, and then 9 is the second most common outcome. So what I've done in these alt totals is try to target the 7s and the 9s. So Astros Twins, I mean, big weather boost here. The Stros are moving from their 72 degree temperature controlled dome to 42 degrees outdoors in Minnesota. And then the Twins are moving from a 65 degree day, 81% humidity in Chicago to that 42 degrees and the drop in humidity to 72% in Minnesota. So the ball could be moving up to 1.5, 2 inches more on those pitches off the mound. So hitters are going to have to adjust, and they're not going to be seeing the ball as well. Plus they're facing Hunter Brown and Joe Ryan, who I refer to as Johnny Depp. So 2 great pitchers there. So we'll take the alt under 9 there. Then the Arizona, New York alternate over 7.5. We had talked earlier in the show. We both like the over 9.5. This one, I believe it's gone. It's now a 10, but I think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'm just going to go ahead and do the alt over 7.5 instead of the 7 because I just think it's going to go over 7. Another weather boost here. The temperature jumping 20 degrees in the same city day over day from 44 to 65, and the humidity increasing from 68 to 87%. So the pitches off the mound will be moving less, and then the ball is traveling further when it's hit. You have 2 pitchers on the decline in Merrill Kelly and Carlos Carrasco. And then the third game of the day, we're doing the alt over 7 for Cincinnati, Milwaukee. Projections have this game at 8. So, you know, we push, I guess we lose the parlay at 7, but I'm trying to get higher odds here. I didn't want to go to the over 6.5, but there actually isn't a huge drop off in these ballparks. Obviously, Great American Ballpark is the best home run hitting ballpark in the league. Milwaukee actually ranks 6 in home run factor because of its smaller dimension. So even though they're moving from a little warmer weather outside to indoors, it's still, there's some upside for some higher scoring games there. They're playing Nestor Cortez, who I do not have any confidence in, and then Nick Lodolo, who had a quality start last week, but I kind of like the offenses at the moment. And then I meant to include this in the Houston one, but because that game will be so close, I'm just going to take Houston on the run line as well, plus 1.5 and minus 198. So anyways, the 4 legs together here, we get plus 306.
Okay, I love it. Chef, well played. Yes, chef.
Yes, chef.
And I am wearing white today. Does it look kind of like it could be a chef coat little bit?
We should have photoshopped a little hat onto your screen.
I do. Did you watch The Bear ever? That show with that goes through
Bear
like the
Grylls?
restaurant unveiling and the what?
Wait, Bear Grylls? Who?
No. It's a show called The
chef.
Bear. I believe that's what it's actually titled. Yeah, it's called The Bear. It's in season 3. It's pretty dang good. Winning awards, but
okay.
you know, whatever. No big deal.
Ooh, it's about fine dining. All right, no, I'll look into it.
So while we're having chefs cooking it up, we might as well get Chef Curry mixed into the parlay situation coming off of the big 50-plus point night the other day. I'm not so brash to say he's going to go over his prop, which has been bet up to 25.5 points today. But I like an alt over if you can throw it in at 22.5 or 23.5 points against the Lakers coming up today in virtual pick'em games. They're getting 1 right now, total 229.5 in the game. But for Steph Curry, alt over, say 23.5 points is what I'm going to throw in here. He's averaging 29.5 in their 3 meetings with the Lakers this season, averaging 27 points per game since the All-Star break. An important game for playoff seeding here. He's coming in hot, feeling confident with the 3 ball. So let's get Chef Curry to get involved today. I already mentioned when we were breaking down the NHL with our guy Jonathan Davis earlier, I love me some Leon Draisaitl. And quite frankly, how could you not? The dude is he is a point magnet. When the puck is anywhere near his stick, he is either facilitating to make a play happen or he's scoring goals. He has only had 1 game dating back to January that he hasn't had at least at least a point. 3 goals in the last 2 games, 4 points in that time. So let's get Leon Draisaitl to have an anytime point, which the juice is heavy in that. That's why it's a parlay leg, because typically his over under on a point isn't one. It's not a half a point like everybody else. It's 1.5 points. It's right. So we're just taking him to have a single point in this one. And I liked the Lane Hudson angle for Montreal against Boston. 6 assists the last 2 games, 9 in the last 5, taking on a Bruins team that the B doesn't stand for Bruins anymore. It stands for brutal, the way that they've been playing. Lost 9 straight games. They're allowing goals at will. And so if Lane Hudson can get involved there, those 3 legs pay plus 231 right now. And if we want to spice it up a little more, we can have a little bit more fun. But I don't know if I want to get there or not yet. So,
excuse me, we want all the spice.
We want all the spice. We want all the legs. Well,
we are cooking with seasoning, please.
Okay, well, I'm not a very good cook, so I'm trying to see what I can do today. I may or may not throw in, just to bump the numbers a little bit, a play from Justin Perry. He liked UT Chattanooga in the NIT title tilt tonight. So if you want to throw that in there, that's going to boost your odds that much more. My bet slip is not cooperating with me right now.
Is that the money line?
No, plus 3.5. So it'd be a minus 110 thing. Go ahead.
Okay. Not even an alt line for them.
Not even an alt line. We're going just the standard plus 3.5 because he said he thinks that can end in a 1-possession game. However, my little thingy-mabobber is not helping. Right, plus 520 is what it gets you to. Plus 520 if you throw that in there. Say thingy-mabobber. It's called a bet slip. Way to go, Stormy. But so that's the way we're playing it. So Steph Curry over 23.5 points, Leon Draisaitl to have a point, Lane Hudson to have a point, and UT Chattanooga plus 3.5. Now, as we're talking food, we're going to close things out like we have been talking ballpark food because it's what we do. Darren Rovell throwing this bad boy out here. He said, attention is focusing on the Masters upcoming, but there's another game in town with the Green Jackets. The Braves single A affiliate is offering loaded fried green tomatoes. And he says this is better than the pimento cheese sandwich at Augusta National. I will say that looks delightful.
That looks so freaking good. Minor league ballparks are always doing it right, whether it's the team name, the uniforms, like the promo nights they have, the food. Granted, I've never had a pimento cheese sandwich, but I feel like that shade is unwarranted. That is engagement farming.
I don't think that's necessary. And as a gal that eats, sleeps, and breathes pimento cheese, I feel like pimento cheese between white bread is solid as it's not the Hartford Yard Goats. That's all that I care about right at this point. Let's not shade the Masters. Let's shade the Hartford Yard Goats. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it. What you should know about is Edge Boost, the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring any and all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. You get cashback rewards, 100% approval for betting deposits. Head over to edgeboost.bet today and use the promo code MONEY. Deposit $25. They're going to match that deposit for you. Again, promo code MONEY, edgeboost.bet.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Okay, guys, if you haven't heard about it yet, get excited. The Hoops and Horses Pick'em Challenge is coming at you thanks to our friends at First Bet this week. You can sign up for free to play at vsin.com/hoops-and-horses to make your picks for Saturday's marquee horse races and the basketball matchups. Top pickers are going to get First Bet vouchers that you can use to bet the upcoming races on First Bet, including the Kentucky Derby, which is just a month out, coming up Saturday, May 3rd. From the hardwood to the home stretch, play now. Come join us at vsin.com/hoops-and-horses. And with that, you're going to pick both the spread and the total on both of the final 4 games that are coming up in the men's NCAA tournament. And you're going to make at least 2 outright win picks for some of the races that are coming up this weekend. 1 month out, as I mentioned, from the starting gates for the Run for the Roses. Prep races this weekend are going to set the stage for the horses in that 20-horse field. And so to help us break it all down, very excited to talk to First Bet's own Jeremy Plonk, who joins us here on the Progressive Guest Line, lead horse racing analyst over there at First Bet. And this weekend, we've all been so excited for this weekend, Jeremy, but now we're taking a little bit of a knock, having to wait on one of the races in the Bluegrass that's been postponed from Saturday to Tuesday. How, if at all, does that affect like the layout of what we can expect this weekend?
Well, epic rainfall in Kentucky and flooding has forced that cancellation or postponement from Saturday to Tuesday of the Bluegrass Stakes. It'll make it a little bit closer to the Kentucky Derby instead of being the full 4 weeks out. It'll be a couple days shorter. But the Bluegrass Stakes, you don't have to go back too long. Older people like me remember when in 1988 they last ran it the Thursday before the Kentucky Derby. It used to be 9 days before the Kentucky Derby. You'd run in the Bluegrass and come back. Today's connections want a little bit more time between their races. The races are worth a lot more money than they were in the 80s and prior to that. So horses are spread out in their campaigns a little bit more, and they like a little bit more time. So this will condense the time frame a bit for those horses by a few days. Hopefully they get the race off on Tuesday. But I don't think if you like a horse for the Kentucky Derby coming out of the Bluegrass, the extra few days and less training time in between races, probably not a disqualifier.
River Thames and Chancer McPatrick, the favorites to win the Bluegrass. Do you think, does the postponement of a few days affect the preparation at all, or just, I guess, the routine of these teams?
Not so much because it's so close to the race. Horses generally work out with their main workout 7 days before a race. So if they were running this Saturday, they finished their serious preparation last Saturday. And so the days they may miss when the rain hit, like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and maybe they missed a little bit of training time, they'll walk around the shed row a lot, maybe with a jockey on their back, an exercise rider on their back, to get a little fitness and get out of the stall some and things like that. But they're all doing the same things, so they're kind of all in the same boat in terms of competitive fairness in that regard. Had the cancellation and the weather hit like a week out and they missed workouts, that would have been a bigger deal. But I think the compression of it, as close as it is to the race, it shouldn't hinder the outcome of the race based on the timing of things.
So that race has 7 horses in it. We have some others with 10, 12. The smallest field, however, at Santa Anita, just 5 horses in that race. Like, why is that the case? And what are some of the angles, or I guess a way that you can approach a race like this? It is such a small field.
Well, the Santa Anita Derby only has 5, but it has 3 of perhaps the top 4 or 5 rated horses in anybody's list. I do a series at countdowntothecrown.com that ranks the horses in a kind of a prospect list throughout the course of the campaign. And these 3 horses that are in there, Journalism, the favorite, Barnes, a horse who we beat last time, and Citizen Bull, who was last year's 2-year-old champion, they're a 1 seed in any tournament bracket. I mean, so that's part of the reason why there are only 5 in there, because there are 3 stars. I mean, when you look at some of the other prep races, they kind of feel like Sweet 16 for your sports fans out there. You've got good teams in there, but you may, out of the 16, you only have a few real title contenders. That's what a lot of the prep races to this point, and even some of the others this weekend, are about. The Santa Anita Derby, despite only having 5 horses, feels like a Final Four matchup. This is Houston and Duke. This is, Auburn and Florida. These are like, whoever comes out of the Santa Anita Derby will be the first or second favorite at post time for the Kentucky Derby. You can rest assured on that.
Okay, well, that's good to know, because Bob Baffert making his return to the Derby. It's his first eligible year back. He has his highest ranking horse in Citizen Bull, which is 9-5 to win Santa Anita. What do you think about his return to the Derby this year?
Well, it's certainly going to shake things up, right? That's going to be a big narrative on the NBC telecast and all the lead-in and the national media who are there. Baffert suspended the last 3 years because of a medication infraction involving Medina Spirit, who won in 2021 and then had the race taken away after testing positive for a banned substance. So Baffert hasn't been back to Churchill Downs with a Kentucky Derby contender, but after they lifted the ban late last year, he got a start in Barnes, one of the horses running in the Santa Anita Derby, at Churchill Downs. He sent him from California to Kentucky to run in a maiden race, which is for horses who had never won before. So he got his actual first victory at Churchill Downs. If Barnes gets back, he'll be a horse who's already run there. Baffert's got a strong hand to play. Santa Anita Derby's a race he's won 9 times. 4 times he's taken a horse from the Santa Anita Derby to win the Kentucky Derby. So this is a preferred route for him. This is what he does. And Barnes is talented, but he doesn't have the resume and the credentials and the, strength of schedule you see with the other horse, Citizen Bull. He was the top 2-year-old in all of racing last year, was honored with the Eclipse Award, won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He's won his only start so far this year. He'll have 2 races leading up to the Breeders' Cup. Citizen Bull, interestingly, hasn't been behind a horse in any of his wins since going longer distances. He goes to the front and he runs wire to wire every time. Somebody's got to get past him to beat him, but in this case, journalism is going to go favorite over him on Saturday because he was able to run by Barnes last time out in a race called the San Felipe Stakes, which is the local tune-up for the Santa Anita Derby. Journalism, not a Baffert horse, but trained by Michael McCarthy, who's won a Preakness but never a Kentucky Derby. He's actually the number 1 ranked horse in racing right now for all the Baffert's stable stars that he has, and he has a big hand still to play. It's somebody else's horse who's the actual favorite right now if we were betting on the Kentucky Derby, and that's Journalism. And if he wins on Saturday in the Santa Anita Derby, Journalism will go to Louisville for sure as the Kentucky Derby favorite, probably somewhere in the 5-2, 3-1 range as favorite for the Kentucky Derby.
Baffert also has a favorite in the Wood Memorial over there at Aqueduct in New York. But I guess for both of those races, where do you lean? Like, you're hyping up Journalism. Certainly seems like he can get it done. But do you have a bet or a horse that you really like in either of those races?
Well, for the contest purposes, for the horses and hoops, you don't have to worry about price and payoff, right? So
true.
We're just trying to find the winner. I think Journalism's a good play for contest players that are playing the horses and hoops contest. But if you're gambling on the race, you want a little bit bigger price, and that makes the Santa Anita race a little bit tougher to find value. You probably want to match up multi-race bets across 2 or 3 races, like a daily double, a pick 3, a pick 4, and single Journalism. That's the best way for me to find value gambling on the card at Santa Anita, is to find multiple races around the Santa Anita Derby to put together like a parlay, like a 3-team parlay, 4-team parlay, like you would with your sports bettors out there. That would be the approach there. The better gambling race will be the one at Aqueduct, just as far as betting the race itself, because you have a bigger field in the Wood Memorial. But like I said, that feels more like a Sweet 16 matchup. There's some pretty good teams. There's some Cinderellas in there, but the Final Four is definitely out at Santa Anita. So the better race in terms of a Kentucky Derby prep is the Santa Anita race. But if you're gambling and looking to build up a nice price ticket, bet a little to make a lot, which is always the approach we want to take in horse racing, then the Wood Memorial will be a good race to bet. Baffert's horse in there, Rodriguez, wasn't quite up to the other horses in Southern California. He's probably 4th, 5th in the pecking order for Baffert. He ran a horse last week, Matticat Road in the Florida Derby, who went out of town. He ran a horse named Cornucopian in the Arkansas Derby. So you can see Baffert's got 5 legitimate Kentucky Derby horses that he had to send to 4 different regions. He'll still have 2 running at Santa Anita, but he went to 4 different regions around the country to kind of spread his horses out here and try to make the big dance. Rodriguez looks like he's in with a chance. Certainly, he'll be one of the favorites in the Wood Memorial, top 3 or 4 pick for sure. But Captain Cook in there is a horse who won the local race for Rick Dutrow. He's a Kentucky Derby winning trainer who won with Big Brown back in 2008 in the Derby and Preakness. Captain Cook is a horse who last time out was very impressive. He's already won at 1 1/8 distance. That's just a furlong short. A furlong's 220 yards. So he won in a race 220 yards shorter than the Kentucky Derby. That's the same distance that they're going to come back and run in the Wood Memorial. So Captain Cook's already proven at the distance, and distance is the big X factor for horses at this stage of the game. The Kentucky Derby is 1 1/4 miles, which will be the longest race any of these horses have ever run in their life on that date. And a lot of times as we get closer to the Derby, the distances of all these prep races also increases. And that's the big question you have to answer. At least with Captain Cook, he's already won at 1 1/8 miles. And that's the distance they're going to run on Saturday. He has a big chance, I think, in the Wood Memorial.
Awesome. Jeremy, we're up against a break. I feel like I have 80 more questions to get to, but if you could, in just 15 seconds, something that you want novice horse bettors to recognize going into this weekend and ahead of the Kentucky Derby.
Well, I think you want to get a horse that gets you some value, right? It's always about value in betting, and whether you're fishing for a line in sports betting, it's the same way. Try to find the best horse at the best price. That's what we're looking for. May not be the most likely winner, but the best horse at the best price is always the right bet in horse racing.
You're awesome. Appreciate the time. Thank you for this.
Take care.
Jeremy Plonk, everybody. Follow him at HorsePlayerNow, owner of HorsePlayerNow.com, and of course the lead horse racing analyst over at First Bet. VSiN.com/hoops and horses. Get involved in the Pick'em Challenge with us. Come join us.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back here on Money Moves as we wrap up this Thursday edition of the show. Grace Remington, Stormy Buonantony with you, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM channel 158. Very appreciative of the conversation we had last segment with Jeremy Plonk, kind of breaking down these prep races for the Kentucky Derby that's coming up in a month, but a lot of action this weekend that's going to set the tone, particularly out there in Santa Anita. And again, just a quick reminder, we have that Pick'em Challenge, VSiN.com/hoops and horses. Going to be so fun. Grace, I got involved in the Super Bowl when they did another iteration of this where you're picking winners at the races at the track, and we were also picking sides and totals in, I want to say it was conference championship weekend, not the Super Bowl, but you had to pick those, and I did really well in it. So I'm hoping that maybe I can get lucky again and pick just a good name. We were talking in the commercial break. You said, like, there's so many of these names that you really like. And I'm not going to lie, Grace, sometimes it works. Sometimes you get the good vibes juju about a horse name, and that horse will come through for you.
Dude, looking at these horses at the Wood Memorial Aqueduct, Bear Claw Necklace.
Yes,
we
so
need
good
to know the backstory there. The trainer, Safi Joseph, does your daughter wear that necklace? I must know. Horse at post 10, McAfee. There was a horse named after Rob Gronkowski. Is this after Pat McAfee? Need to know. I don't know why, but in the Santa Anita one, journalism stands out to me. I don't like. It's kind of a relatively boring. I don't know why I like it. It just
maybe it's because it was your major in college and what you do for a living. Plus, Jeremy was selling us pretty hard on journalism. Being,
he was.
Yeah, being potentially the Kentucky Derby favorite if he wins this Santa Anita as he is expected to do so. That was a recommended horse of his coming into it. And I just liked the fact that
Captain Cook.
We
should have put that in our chef parlays.
Oh man, opportunity missed. But in the Wood Memorial that we had up there, I like that what was it, the 10 horse? No, the 12. Omaha. That it's not just one Omaha, that we're getting the Peyton Manning double. And I'm about that. I'm here for it. Okay, it is time for our best bets today. Grace, presented by GBank, the official bank of VSiN. And reminder, GBank's up in the ante for our new GBank Visa Signature Card customers. New customers spend $1,000 your first 90 days from the account opening are getting a $250 bonus. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSIN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. And I'm going to be forward with you all. Today is more like best bets/leans presented by GBank because I got to talk a few things out here, Grace. But let's start with you in Major League Baseball. We are, by the way, on a good trajectory midway through the third inning in Red Sox Orioles for the over. Need Baltimore to contribute more for the scoring, considering how I know that you were on the money line. Apparently, that was a popular play today for the public, and we're always rooting for you guys at home or driving in your car or at work making bets, whatever you're doing. We're cheering you on. But what else did you like today? We've got Astros, Twins, Diamondbacks, Yankees, Reds, Brewers. What caught your eye?
Yeah, luckily I didn't end up betting anything in that Red Sox Orioles game. But so far, Charlie Morton, 7 strikeouts through 3 innings. Good for him. My favorite play of the day is that Astros Twins under 7 at even odds. I talked about the weather boost a lot. That was the first thing that caught my attention here because the Stros moving from their dome to Minnesota, that's a 30-degree drop in temperature. The Twins moving from Chicago to their home field, a 20-degree drop in temperature, a 10-degree drop in humidity. What that means for the ball as it comes off of the mound out of the pitcher's hand, these hitters could see 1.5 to 2 inches of extra movement. So their visual memory of what these pitches should look like is not going to be matching up with their muscle memory. They're going to have to adjust, and they're not going to be seeing the ball as well. In addition to that, you have 2 great pitchers on the mound here. Hunter Brown, his velo to start the year on the fastball is up 1.8 miles an hour compared to his 2024 average. And that is a very successful pitch, a 177 weighted on base average. For reference, the average weighted on base average is 320. something he changed in his first outing of the year is his changeup. He threw it 23% of the time compared to about 13% in 2024. So he basically doubled its usage, and he should have more success with that pitch today, considering the change in hitting environment. And then on the other side, it's Johnny Depp Day, aka Joe Ryan Day. He had a great start to the season, 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. For his career, he has been outperforming his expected ERA. So just last year, for example, his actual ERA was 4.05. The expected ERA was 3.01. And that's been the pattern for his entire career. So he should be better this season. He's also very good at limiting the long ball earlier in the year in those cooler temperatures. So I like the under in this one.
Okay. I am going to the National Hockey League. And I got to talk through this a little bit. I mentioned cooking up a parlay, how much, no matter what I'm doing, I'm tying Leon Draisaitl to have a point to it. So I think that I'm going to just maybe do a 2-legger, and I might do 2 of them. Leon Draisaitl and Victor Arvidsson, who is on his line, pays plus 135. And Leon Draisaitl along with Lane Hudson of Montreal, who's had 6 assists the last 2 games. Bruins are not good, and I think that Montreal can take advantage there, Lane specifically. That'll get you around plus 105 if you put those 2 together. And then again, Arvidsson and Draisaitl plus 135, you put those 2 together. I'm going to do a pizza money play on Jake Wallman as well. Money on the board game facing his former team, plus 115 for a point. He's also 5-1 for a goal. Scored against Vegas the other night, has had 4+ shots on goal in 3 of the last 4 games, had a point in 4 of the last 6. So I have confidence that he's going to be firing on the net tonight. So that's another little small one. I do lean Vegas against the Jets. I didn't bet it, but at a small favorite price at home where they play so well in a bounce back role after they just lost to the Oilers. I like that one as well. And I just wanted to talk this out for a moment because I like these line parlays. And we had Josh Ingles on the program, I want to say last week, or maybe, no, it was 2 weeks ago, and of covers.com. And he does a great job racking up the information and kind of putting it out there of these different player combos coming together and how they do. Pred Stars, that second line for the Dallas Stars, have been on just a freaking crazy stretch. So listen to this. Marchment, Duchesne, and Granlund. Last 3 games, 3-0 of all of them comboing for a point in a parlay. Bettors, if you have bet them the last 3 games, you're up 13 units. They are 4-1 with that threesome combo. The last 5 games, up 17 units, 19 units the last 8 games. They have been hot. Wow. They're getting the bulk of the minutes. So even if you don't want to combo all 3 of them at once, although that has been profitable and you're getting above plus 350, plus 360 for those props, you could tie any 2 of them together, I think, and still feel good about it. So that's another approach that I have today. So I don't know why I didn't say that in cooking up parlays, because that is the parlay of it all. But I think that that could be a good angle tonight. Yes, chef. I think that that's a fun thing to do in the NHL, is pair together these players that play on the same line. So we're getting a little weird today in the NHL. But
I love that.
Shout out Josh Ingles for that information, though, because he does a great job logging it all. And by the way, our guy Jonathan Davis, we had him on the program earlier. He's got his full article up at vsin.com breaking down all of his best bets on the slate. Okay, anything else you like today, Grace?
I did play the first 5 over 5.5 in D-backs Yankees at plus 102. Again, they are getting the temperature jump here, 20 degrees from 44 to 65 day over day, and a 20% increase in humidity as well. So that means the movement on the pitches is going to be limited, and then the ball, when it's in the air, will travel further. You have 2 top 10, top 5 offenses here in most of the hitting metrics, and then the 2 pitchers, Merrill Kelly and Carlos Carrasco. Just not a lot to like about them. These 2 bullpens have actually been good to start the season. So once we lost that full game 9.5, it's now 10. I decided I'm just going to isolate the starting pitchers and the warmer temperatures at the start of the game and take the first 5 over instead.
Okay, good deal. Again, best bets today presented by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. What else do you have going on today, Grace, other than staying indoors and trying to protect yourself from tornado warnings?
Dude, I know maybe I should stay indoors, but I'm actually getting a haircut today. Your bangs inspired me. I'm not going full short bangs, but I need some face framing action. It's just getting a little too crazy at the end. So that's what I'll be doing.
I gotta tell you, Grace, I'm shocked that you want to do that after I have done nothing but complain to you about how I regret getting my haircut.
It looks good. I'm not going as short. I'm just like a little paranoid. I've had long hair my whole life. It's my identity at this point. But maybe right here at the chin, you know?
I'm very excited for you. And I think that you are wise to know that you want change, but you want to keep it long. I even asked my hairdresser to go shorter, and she was like, I don't think you're going to like it. I think this is going to be good. And that's a good hairdresser. Right. She was right, because if I went shorter, I might be reading Don't Kill Yourself books. Instead, we're having fun out here. So appreciate you, Grace, as always. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Keep it locked right here on VSiN, though. Coming up after this, prop points. Have a great day. And hey, get your haircut. Have a life change. Why not?